Midnight Ramen is a minimally edited, live recorded podcast that takes place at midnight. Although Michael may not be consuming food, it's time to get your bowls out. It's chow time.
But welcome back to you. Freak stride, sailing me. Free falling, choose my enemy. Free from the things you say. It will all come back someday.
Good evening, gamers and other folks alike. I hope y'all are having a good night tonight. You are listening to Midnight Rum with me, Michael. I hope y'all are doing good. If you want to watch this live, you can go to twitch.tv/MeltAlertOriginal. And interact in chat. You can watch this happen live. You can do other stuff. You can watch the after show. You can interact. You can interact in the chat and change how this episode goes. Well, if you're here during it, yes, you are interacting and changing the show. But not if you're like watching it afterwards, which is possible in right now 2 separate places. Main thing, if you want to watch it, that after whatever actually there's 3 technically, because there's still Twitch, because you have the 2 weeks that the episode originally airs, that it's on there, but once it's gone, it's gone. And then after that, the next place that you can watch it is on YouTube, where not only I have every single episode on there, I have every single episode on there. Yes. Just every single episode from the beginning is on there. But on Spotify, where you can listen to it, if you're like, you don't want to watch it, but you want to listen, you can have your phone off. You can listen on Spotify. And not only can you listen to this for only since episode 100, but not only can you get that there, you can listen to my radio show, or the radio show retrospective of it, on there as well, where I basically I'll do my whole radio show set, where I not only have, I edit it down obviously a lot more than, because a lot of the station calls and news stuff take up a lot of time, and plus I repeat stuff and they're not relevant. If they are relevant to the bit, then yes, I'll probably say something. Or if the weather I think is something that I actually would do, because it's news, but it's something that's important, especially this past one where it was an episode about snow. So it was kind of important, I would say. What else? I think I'm shaking the camera. I'm trying to think of what else. But yeah, that's on there. Also, linked in each episode is a playlist of all the music that I mentioned on the show that I've played for that episode. All the top 30s, all the JoJo's Bizarre Radios, yes, and all the others. Yeah. I think that kind of wraps the whole gambit there for the start. I'm just thinking I want to talk some stories tonight. So, yeah, I don't really have a main topic I want to talk about. So, it's story time. So, Veterans Day was a couple of days ago. It was Monday, and my dad served in the Navy for about 20 years or so, roughly, off and on. And I've already I know I've told stories before, and every Veterans Day, the thing that he does, he likes to just be kind of alone in some way, but what he does, he goes to restaurants, especially restaurants. He loves going to restaurants to get the veterans discount or special or something like that. He loves doing that. I think this past time, I know he went to Chili's for dinner. I should have asked what else he did for the other ones, but Yeah. Yeah, he it's like when I was like talking about like, oh, what are we gonna do for dinner? And it's like, yeah, Dad's going to get Chili's. And I'm like, yeah, he's going to Chili's. Did you know? Fun fact, the meme, hi, welcome to Chili's, where the guy's like shirtless and wearing like glasses. I can't remember if it's him or his brother, Adam. I don't know which one's Adam, but like where the guy's blowing like vape smoke onto a desk, and then the other guy, the camera guy, blows it off, and then the guy turns around and's like, Adam. Like those are well, one, I think they're like the same brothers or whatever, family, whatever, but one of them is dead. I don't know if it's Adam. I don't know if it's the guy in the video. I don't remember. So yeah, fun fact there. But going back to my dad, his birthday was also a couple weeks ago too. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, and food. We had food and dinner. The thing about my dad, like I love my dad, obviously. When I was a kid, like he would always take me to my sporting events and things like that. I think especially for like wrestling too. Like he was definitely a proponent for making sure we were active and doing something, or like in clubs or whatever. He was definitely an advocate for it. Like even when we were going, me and my sister were like doing music, like we were getting lessons. Like there was no doubt we were getting lessons, and he made sure that we were practicing and doing it. And yeah. But I can go on stories about music stuff too. Actually, I'll probably do that next, cause yeah. So, I like. There's been a number of times that like wrestling meets, especially, like we go all over the place. Because like from kindergarten to about like middle school, 6th, 7th grade, that's when you can really, really like. You're not tied to a team, and you're not restricted in tournaments. Whatever you can do is. There's like certain leagues and whatever things that you can do that's very, very oddly specific, but you're not tied down on how many tournaments that you go to. There's some obviously league stuff that like, yes, you can only do so many matches and whatnot, but when you're a kid, you're a kid. Even in higher up in grade stuff, you can only do so many matches for varsity or this or that. So. We would go like damn all over. We'd go all over the place, especially later on too. When I was like getting to the end of like when I could actually go to open tournaments, like 6th grade, 5th or 6th grade, especially. We'd go to like damn near like we went to Alexandria one time or near there, like Elk River or something like that. I can't remember. It was far. Like we went far for tournaments some days. The reason I remember it was around there. It wasn't Alexandria. It could have been, but I don't think it was. I think it was Elk River. I'd have to look, but that's like a 4-hour drive. Actually, not a 4-hour drive. It's a very far drive, like 3.5, whatever. I don't really know, but that tournament was rigged as hell. We had guys that were like, I think when I was wrestling then, I was like 60-ish pounds. Like, yeah, I was light. I was super duper light. And I would have been, like, I was like on the lighter side my entire wrestling career. And hell, really? Even afterwards, after I stopped wrestling, I was maintaining the same weight. But that meet was so rigged. We had a guy, the weight range for my thing, I was the median. So the lightest guy was about 10 pounds under me. The heaviest guy was 30 pounds heavier than me. And like, I was tall and lanky. This guy was taller. Like, that. You literally threw a bigger guy just so he could win a tournament. And there were definitely like brackets that we could have had it worked out better, but for whatever reason, they didn't do it. And it pissed us off to no end. I don't think we even did the award ceremony because it was fucking rigged. And I felt bad for the kid that basically my only. I don't know if I won. There was even another guy. There might have been another guy that was a close like weight with me and him, but like the guy that like lost the most, that was like 10 pounds under. Like I feel bad for that guy because like seriously, that like when you're in in elementary school or middle school or whatever, getting 10 pounds, like a 10-pound weight difference in a non like practice setting is insane. Absolutely insane. So like there's a reason you have to make weight. And like just like seriously? Bro. I think that there was like another tournament that was like closer to home that we went to, that my dad and the other like parents of like the wrestlers in my bracket had to force the matches to happen, just because the officials, not like the ref and scorekeeper or whatever, no, the people that were doing records were taking their sweet fucking time with it, and they didn't record anything. So we had to, and this was like later in the day, for whatever reason, and I wasn't even like in the like 6th grade. What they did is like they had like middle, like the upper age whatever, go first, and then they started from like kindergarten and up. I was like, my grade was like dead in the middle, so it was last. And so we were there pretty much all day already in a packed gymnasium, and they were these refs, or not like officials, were just taking their sweet time. They weren't doing the meet, they weren't recording, they were just going on to the next match, which they didn't record anything else on. So it's like, what are you doing? So like all of the parents had to like force their way to make the bracket work. And that's not a thing that you want for a wrestling meet at all. It's horrible. It's horrible. But yeah, you're like always like I still like remember watching or like sitting at the side of the mat with my dad getting ready for a match, or waiting in between, watching opponents and things like that. And he coached me through. He did. Definitely was a big proponent for me for that. And even when I think he was the one that gave me the proposition to decide whether I go into to music or whether I would continue doing wrestling and sports and things like that. And wasn't as serious as I was, like continued as I was, or I went full hog into music. Because the thing that I miss, and what sucked, I think, yeah, it was my sophomore year. The thing that sucked about it is, I mean, I still did my sophomore year, but once my sophomore year was over, and I kind of should have taken a little bit more seriously, I solely just did music, except for bowling, because like that's not as big of a commitment as like an actual like team sport. Although bowling, that actually does bring up something real quick. So like last weekend, I did a bowling tournament in town, and usually not like an actual like individual, but it was like with a team. So with a team bowling, how that works is you get like 5, maybe 6, or whatever, however many. But one way you can do all individual scores and whatever, but the easier way is called Baker style. So Baker style is you have your 5 bowlers, You get into an order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you repeat 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you try to obviously get as much points as possible. There's obviously handicaps and things like that were, I think, take into account too. We didn't. I think we were third, or I think we were fourth, but we were edging on third. But we were bowling middle of the pack for most of the day, and by the time that we were bowling really, really good, we just couldn't shake the fact that we were bowling in the middle of the pack, and like we bowled some pretty good games at the end, but we just didn't have it in the for most of the time. Although we did like stay competitive. We were bowling like 1-6, like one. I feel like around my average, kind of. But like the last games, we bowled like 222 or like 220 something, and then 245. I think for the last two. It was nuts. Like we were bowling hot. If only we were doing that earlier though. Yeah. Because we had like one or two that were like 140 something, and there's like obviously bad lanes, but there were a couple that we were just not hitting anything, not making up our spares, getting bad breaks, things like that. Not making up our fails, I should say, for spares, and like it sucked. Getting splits. But yeah. I mean, that was my main sport after I quit like wrestling and eventually track once that season was done. Or my sophomore season was done for that. But I mainly did music, and I was already doing like music lessons for years, and my first music instructor was the old high school teacher, and she was mainly a flute teacher. So like my sister started as a flute, and she was taking private lessons from her. My first instrument was a trumpet, and she also, taught trumpet and whatnot, and also taught piano. I learned a little bit. I really need to get back on my piano if I really want to get back in the game. Because yeah, I haven't played in a long time. Like actually played in a long time. But I started out as a trumpet for 5th through about just after 8th grade, because I think 9th grade, I started out as a trumpet, but I think a couple weeks or so in, or a month or so in, I can't remember when, is when I was given an option to go to the French horn. And I kind of wanted, like, there was another time in middle school that was like, hey, I could try out an instrument, try the French horn. And I was like, and even my middle school teacher was like, yeah, you'd probably be good at it. It's not as like wearing down on the lips, and if you have the lip to do it, you can probably be good at it. And the reason that I didn't do it is because it was my grandpa's trumpet, the high school teacher that is now the principal, through a whole convoluted story, blah, 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 whatever. And I feel if I show my trumpet to him, he'll steal it. He will steal it. But the reason that I kept with the trumpet for like through middle school was that it was my grandpa's trumpet, and he passed away the summer between 7th and 8th grade. And I played at his funeral. I played at my cousin's grandpa's other funeral, who like passed away like within a year. So he lost both of his grandpas within the span of a year. So that was crazy. But yeah, I thought I'll do the French horn. And so I started taking lessons with my private instructor doing French horn. And she knows a little bit of horn, because like as a music teacher, you're kind of supposed, like during my time in college, all of the music teachers, no matter if it was band or choir, like choir people had to learn instruments too. Like they had to learn like pretty much the mechanics and mechanisms and the quirks and going ons of each instrument within a band. And so like my private instructor knew the French horn and knew some of the basics and the ropes and how to play and this and that. But literally within the span of a year, she's like, I have nothing to teach you. I literally can't teach you because I can't. I have nothing to. This is like middle of a lesson. I was practicing one of my songs for solo ensemble, actually. And I don't think she was the accompanist. I think she might have been the accompanist, or because her daughter was also an accompanist for the high school. Sometimes she did that on the side. But no, my private instructor was like middle of a lesson, just like random lesson, just like, I can't teach you anymore. I can't. Not like a retire thing. She's like, I literally can't teach you anything more about your instrument. You're already better than I could. And I've been doing this for years, for decades. It's like, well, damn. And so I got an instructor who was at the time like just formally out of the Minnesota Orchestra, and she, like, all of the people for, there's a thing called, I can't remember what the technical term is, and it's blanking me. There's this thing in the spring, I can't, it's literally eluding me. Basically, God, why am I forgetting the name of it? It's not solo ensemble, honor band, something like that. It's like some honor band, like state honor band. And to audition, you had to do scales. And for French horn, the pace that they had it at is almost like damn near impossible for a professional to do it. So, and the arpeggios, if you don't know, it's ba 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 ba, basically that, but 2-octave arpeggio, which is for each key, which is hard, very hard. And it was like eighth note equal, like quarter note equals 90 or something like that, or no, half note equals 90. I can't remember. It's some ridiculous tempo that a professional horn player could maybe keep up most of the time. Like even my instructor, who was in the played in the Minnesota Orchestra for years, and she's like, yeah, this is bullshit. Like, and I'll keep going, but like just to get a vibe of the tempo of it, it was like ba 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 ba. That's how fast it was. And then you'd have to do a chromatic scale at the very end, which is like going up by half steps and going down by half steps. I think you had to do 3 octaves, or for horns you had to do 3 octaves. For other instruments it's different because like instrument range, but for horn, yeah, there's a lot of octaves on a French horn. Like I don't know how. So in the bass clef, if you know what a bass clef is, I can get to a low E for sure. I can maybe get a little bit lower, but I have to practice. But my high end octave, C is where I start losing. C is where I can get it comfortably. G is where I can get it comfortably. A starts to get a little bit hard. B is like maybe. High C, mm-mm. I can't even sing the note because it won't work. It won't be caught up on here. But I can get I have good range. But yeah, so there was a scales, and then there was this etude like practice study thing, which taught you like was about more the technical aspects of playing the horn and like, are you capable of doing this, like this technique or this technique, blah, 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 blah. And I swear to God, right hand on the Bible, I wish I could have recorded what she said about this, because it was like the most true like thing ever. She knew the guy that made the like etude and said that guy was a complete jackass. Like, that guy is sadistic. That guy is trying to torture kids by forcing them to do this etude. Like the just meanest shit about this guy. I'm like, we just met. and you're just zagging on this guy. Like, yeah, it was the first lesson too. It's like, we just met and you're zagging on this guy that made this thing for an honor band. It's just so funny. And then the third thing was like a solo, which like it like for throughout the whole year, it's not too hard to figure out what you're trying to do. If you know what you're playing, you just do that. Because like for a solo ensemble, which is a thing that happens earlier in the year, which like I was mentioning, practicing, whatever, that's what I think I did that year. I can't remember the song I did. I think I remember the piece. Maybe not though. I don't recall. I do know my senior piece because it was called Hunter's Moon, and to this day, it's a good piece. I love it. I love it. It's long, but it's kind of hard. It's not too insane. It's got some technical bits, but like it's got range. It's got like, I can still play it. I can't probably hit some high notes or here or there. But if I were to whip out my horn off the bat, I could get probably most of it done. Probably better than I did in high school. But yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other. Oh yeah, so when I first went with my professional horn player for a private instructor, so for that, whatever, it was my last time that I could audition for this honor band, because if I was a senior in high school, I can't really do it. So out of all the people that were able to get into the band, all of the students were hers, and like most of the subs or alternates, sub-ins were alternate, including me, were pretty much her students, which is funny, extremely funny. And I'd only been with her for like couple weeks or a month or two before the audition, which is nuts. But yeah, that I still remember recording that. Oh my God, that sucks. Because like you had to do the scales like and then just the scales after that. And then I think luckily I think you could do separate recordings, but just the technicality of that etude, which is just, a technical study, more or less. I think that's the translation, was just so dumb and nutty. I think I got in one, but the 1 or 2 maybe, but the scales I did like 3 or 4, and then I think I maybe did once or twice with my solo, and that's it. Yeah, I think it's time to get into some magic cards, because this new set, Foundations. Just a quick thing about Foundations, it's probably the best time to get into Magic, because Foundations has like a lot of good like new beginner stuff, but has a lot of good stuff for new players, a lot of good stuff for old players. So it's the best time and the best set to learn and start playing Magic with. I gave my girlfriend a beginner's box, which has like a couple of starter decks, and it has like 2 playmats, not like a playmat, like a playboard where it could show you the zones and things like that. Looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh thing, but whatever. But yeah, I gave her one of those, and then like a thing, whatever the other thing, like starter kit, which like had like 350 plus cards, which there's some bangers in there, like actual bangers. So like she can like start making decks out of them, which is pretty cool. Let's open this first pack. Let's see if I can find something to look at. Refute's pretty good. Just looking at the Grappling Kraken. I didn't know there was a blue landfall card in here. Blanchwood Armor is a very good iconic card in green. We got Wardens of the Cycle. And the rare stuck. Oh, Muldrotha. Oh, that's good. The Gravetide. It's a mythic. So during each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a spell of each permanent type from your graveyard. That's a real good commander right there. And then Imprisoned Moon is by foil, and then a mountain. I think I hear someone snoring. All right. Next pack. That's a good one to start off with. I've been upgrading, even from this set, like I've upgraded some of my decks already. Also, another thing that I got, because I mentioned it last week or so, or 2 episodes ago, I don't remember, but the Marvel Secret Lair, I got those in today or yesterday technically. But yeah, I literally started building a Captain America deck because I love playing Voltron. And yeah, it's turning out very well so far. Darwin Guild-Leaf Gene. The rare is a Sylvan Scavenging. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, choose one, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or create a 3/3 raccoon creature token if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Not bad. The foil is a quick draw katana. I might actually put that in there. Probably not, though. It's not that great. Pack 3. We got a Fleeting Distraction, Healer's Hawk. Yeah, fake my own death. Bite Down. Sanguine Siphoner. I'm just going to get to the commons. So we got a Dreadwing Scavenger, Brazen Scourge, Rune Sealed Wall. Ooh, I should probably put that in my walls deck. Vampire Gourdmand. The rare is a Homunculus Horde. It's a creature. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a token that's a copy of this creature. Oh, shoot. So that means it's a copy of Homunculus Horde. So whenever you draw your second card, you draw a card, create a creature token. So the next time that you do it, you would draw 2 cards, and then it would, multiply. That's pretty good. The foil is a Crackling Cyclops. Got a Blossoming Sands for land. Not bad. Muldrotha is probably the best card of that little set there. Not too crazy, but I got my girlfriend some magic stuff so she can start making decks of her own, which is pretty cool. And we can actually play and learn more, because like Arena's pretty good, but it's not the feeling of paper though. And I feel like Arena sometimes they don't get it. they just don't get it, Like you can be a starter, using a starter deck and get put up against a guy playing some meta BS that's like impossible to beat. And that happens quite a lot though. And there's nothing you can do about it. Actually, I feel like I have talked about how I started playing Magic, but I haven't really gotten to like other details and stuff like that about it. So I might as well, because I know it's story time episode. So my cousin was, so I feel like the story starts with my cousin because he originally was the one that got me into it. So we were kind of, he went to the Catholic school because of how his parents or whatever. I don't really know why he went to the Catholic school. So, and that goes through all the way from kindergarten to 8th grade. And he would get bullied all the time and all the time from them. And honestly, the kids from the Catholic school are fucking assholes. A lot of them were. And they weren't like the whole extended family was like, we're not sure how he's going to be once he reaches high school. Is he going to be like a loser or whatever the hell? But what had happened, he blossomed in high school. He like really got a whole group of friends, which is funny because a lot of the friends that he made in high school were already friends of mine, weirdly enough. So like when I was in 8th grade, so he was like 2 years older than I was, and than I am. And so when I was in 8th grade, he was in 10th grade. All the 9th graders that I knew from last year that I got to be good friends with and I knew for years, like years at this point, became friends with them. And we're like, and by the time I got into high school, I'm like, no way, you know him? No way. That's crazy. And so a lot of his friends became my friends as well. And a lot of them played Magic the Gathering, which I didn't even know at the time that they played Magic the Gathering. Some of the friends I knew. And they would all play at the local library on Tuesdays. Magic Tuesdays is what we would call it. And include a lot of people. Some older, some younger than me. I remember some of the guys. I wonder where they are today. Kind of wonder. Some of them were definitely those kids that like had fire, like they didn't have fire things on them, but they knew where to find like firecrackers or bottle rockets pretty freaking easily. Like I swear they probably did. And they could find a knife if they had to. They probably had a knife on them at all times. Like a pocket knife. Or not like a pocket knife, more like one of those like utility knives or whatever that you actually, it's good, like a box cutter. But that's besides the point. So, a lot of the times we'd hang out before school and things like that. I would just watch and, eventually, friends would lend me their decks or this or that. I started to learn how to play. And then eventually I got my own stuff. I started collecting. And then I just got to the point where I could do my own things. Like, I think the main thing that we mainly played, and this is right around the time, kind of when I was like sophomore. So I think sophomore, junior year, more junior and senior year. That's when Commander was really starting to come into fashion. Because like I think there was a thing for years, but it really didn't exist too much. I think the first time was like 2013. It was like when Wizards officially printed Commander stuff. Actually, I could probably check that up. Let's look that up. Actually, let's look that up because I do not remember. They're precons. When did they? No, not a starter. I gotta know when they started doing it. Started in what year? 2013. It's saying I was right. So I was right, apparently. 2013. Commander series. It says 2011 though. 2011. Okay, 2011. So it really didn't come into fashion, I feel like, till about 2014, 2014 or 2015. I feel like is when it really came into fashion, because I feel like on one hand I didn't really know about it, but like on the other hand, it was more just like getting it known. I feel maybe right. Yeah, sure. But once once I started like actually building and playing my own stuff, that's when I really got into it. Like my first pre-release was, I think it kind of started. I know when I started Oath of the Gatewatch or Battle for Zendikar around then. Probably just Oath of the Gatewatch. Was my main prime time, or when I started. And my first pre-release was Eldritch Moon. I do know that. I can't remember what my promo card was. Oh, it was Cigar des Aid. I got a Cigar des Aid. That's like a $20 card nowadays, or so. Or at least the promo version of it is like $20 or something like that. And I know which deck it's in. Actually, no, I don't. Well, yeah, I do. Maybe. I don't remember. I think I do. Yes. Yes. It's my Lay on Hands deck, which I have a Mox Field if you want to check that out. Go to my Mox Field link. It just melted lyric. Or I show all my decks and things like that. But yeah, I just started collecting and playing. And hell, even when I got to college, I didn't do super hard. I feel like I got more into it when I got into college, but also at the same time, being in college, having to pay off student loans and things like that, and not having like a full-time job, I couldn't really go nuts with it. But I did do a lot. I did do a lot of collecting, and I feel like now I do exponentially, like way too much. But also to some extent, kind of not. I feel like the FOMO is definitely there, but it is what it is. But also on some hand, like I can use the cards to make decks and things like that, or like make fun cubes, or yeah. I feel like I need to make other kinds of decks outside of the ones that I, Commander and that, because there's definitely like other formats that Wizards just doesn't acknowledge, really. Not that they wouldn't, but kind of backhandedly dismiss and not acknowledge. And sub formats too. I'll just say that. Ooh. Trying to think of another story. Oh, I also played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh. My cousin gave me my first and only Yu-Gi-Oh deck, which was like a water based monster, like sea creature deck, where the main goal was to get this one creature out as fast as I can and just beat the shit out of my opponent with it, and use like trickery with my sea creatures to like, oh, if there's a creature that I want to get out of there that should not be there, there's ways to say like, haha, sucker, whatever, get dragged, get fucked. That was the main theme of the deck, was just like water creatures and dragging stuff down in the deep and such. And I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh was a lot harder to play or learn to play, because you have to know every single card in your deck. And even as I like learned to play the deck more and more and more, it still took a lot of time to really get to understand and know the interactions of the deck. It's like I've had it for like a year. I'm like, oh, so this is how this deck works. I get it now. Like, and not to say I wasn't slow, but like the getting to how it's supposed to be played optimally, even though like I kind of knew what I was supposed to do, the optimal plays weren't really there yet. And that took like a long time until I really got it. And even then, like, I was losing, or like I wasn't winning all the time. It's a very good multiplayer deck, but on one, I'm fucked. Because like the Yu-Gi-Oh meta is just so skewed to have like turn 2, turn 3 wins typically, which is, it's just all right, but like, you know, I don't want to rely on, oh, I just drew good. It's like, that's not how I drew a good first opening hand. It's like, that's not how I feel like you should, you know? What can you do? But we would play a lot on the bus from me and a lot of the band guys would play a lot on the bus from pep band games. Like all the time we would do that on the way there and back from pep band games. And because like the one thing I'll give Yu-Gi-Oh the benefit of the doubt is that you can play it. It's like a smaller arena, so smaller field. So you can have like your notebook be your battlefield. We did it that way. It was a little janky, but we got it to work. And yeah. Or even sometimes we just use the benches of the bus to play, which was so weird. So dumb. But it worked. It worked. And we had fun. Oh god, and that reminds me, we also had Chromebooks too. Which I looking back now, it's crazy, like with the technology advancements that we had in school, because like I'm grateful that we had Chromebooks in high school, because that allowed us to do our projects pretty much whenever we wanted and not have to rely on the school computers to work on a paper. And if we didn't get it done there for the hour or whatever we had for a certain class, and if we didn't get it done there, we're screwed, you know, or we'd have to go after school to finish the papers. Like, now we don't have to care. Like, we can get it done whenever we want to. I mean, obviously within reason, but like, you know, we can get it done and still have time to work on other things or go on to different websites, or you know. It was kind of hard too, because hard to manage those, because you'd have kids that would just like go on like say YouTube and just watch videos all day. Like, no joke, there were definitely people that were just using their Chromebooks to watch videos or things like that. Like say in like history or language arts, like that was a way. Or science, kind of. Math, definitely not. Definitely not. But I think the easiest one that you could get it out of was history, because there was a lot of projects, and you know, you can look things up. You can like fact check and there's or that or whatever. And the projects, obviously, they would take time and things to do. Or even I feel like even in English class, you could also like be typing up a thing or whatever. Like, you had a lot of leeway in that sense. But there were definitely people like going onto cool math games or whatever IO game came out. Because like, I think Snake IO was big. I can't remember what it's like, ball. It's kind of the same idea, but that was huge during my time in high school. But the Chromebooks were pretty good. I know, like, and a lot of the stories that they say, like, oh, some guy looking at watching YouTube in class or something like that, ironically came from one person that I know who did this verbatim. Like, he would probably look at porn. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest, he probably did look at porn on his Chromebook. But like, I remember one time, or a couple times actually, he would one of my friends, he would download or like load a movie on his computer, or like on YouTube or or whatever website that he would like torrent it off or whatnot. Either he like download the movie or like load the movie on a Wi-Fi network, and then once we get on the bus, that's when he would watch it. So like he'd already have it loaded, and sometimes the buses didn't have the Wi-Fi for us to, you know, do our homework. So he would just already have it ready to go, which is pretty cool, honestly. That's a good way of doing it, because then you're not missing anything unless if like the loading disappears or whatever. Or you can add. I hated that. I still hate that. I think that like the reason that there's ads on like YouTube, especially how aggressive they were this year, I feel like a lot of it had to do with the election. Whether you like it or not, I feel like that was a big reason that they were like trying to fight back like these ad blockers and things like that. It's kind of I feel like it's a little bit obvious there to kind of go into a weird conspiracy theory-esque thing, but I have a hunch that had something to do with it, at least. Could entirely be wrong. I don't know. Probably. I hope so. Not sure. But maybe? So, yeah. I'm trying to think of like a crazy story that I haven't told yet. Oh God, yeah. Okay, I had this story that I wanted to tell like a long time. That I had a weird dream the other night. Or just like weird, like, you know, something that just popped in my head. It's like, oh yeah, I did that. So it was my sophomore. Was it my sophomore year of college? Yes, it was. So my sophomore year of college, I remember I drove a couple of girls to a game store because they wanted to go. Out of the blue, I'm just like, fuck it, let's go. I could have abducted them. They were like, looking back at it now, I could have abducted them. Thinking about it, I'm like, how and why did they trust me on this? Like, legitimately. No, because the two girls were like friends. No, whatever. And I thought one of them was cute. I'm gonna be honest. And I'm like, you want to go to they want to go to like one of the local TCG stores, one of them that doesn't exist anymore. Just because their location and what it was kind of bad. And selection and this and that were just kind of so we went there, and they were part of my first real D&D group. I even I'm like Facebook friends with the DM from that game, because he was like a film major, I think. Yeah, he was a film major, and I still remember all of my stuff from that. So my first D&D character was so I initially created this character when I was still playing with my Magic Tuesday friends, but they were about to transition over to D&D and started playing D&D. So I created this Dragonborn Bard. I was going to name him Tragdor the Bardinator or something like that. So I named him Sonan the Bardinator. And the guy that I was making my character with looks at me and is like, you son of a bitch. Because like Sonan is like, oh, a traditional Dragonborn name. I'm like, okay. And so when I actually got to college, I'm like, oh, do you want to play a D&D? Like, they asked me, it's like, hey, you want to play D&D? I'm like, okay, let's play D&D. And so it was, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. I remember that group. Or was my freshman year? I think it had to have been my sophomore year. Yes. Weird. Yeah. It was my sophomore year of college. So it must have been early second semester then. Or it might have been early first. I probably was early first semester. Because I think the DM graduated soon after the campaign was over. He was already doing a campaign with some people, but the two girls wanted to join in for some reason. I can't remember why. I think one of them was a film major. I know the other one I thought was cute was a biology major. No joke. I think. I want to say she was. And so I was obviously a Dragonborn bard. Can't remember what level we were. Probably 17. Like it was a high level campaign already. So the introduction of my character is that he popped out of the ground. Like Rocky and Bullwinkle, just like flowered out of the ground. Just there he is. And throughout the entire campaign that we were in, or time that we were in, I almost got petrified at least 3 separate times. Turned to stone 3 separate times. I wish I was kidding. I absolutely wish I was kidding. I remember I think the first 2 times. I think the first time was during the first encounter. The second time, so we went to this like weird ancestral like ethereal hall where like faced the 7 deadly sins, and I think it was like Pride. Pride tried to petrify me, but we killed them no, it wasn't Pride. It must have been like because Pride we like set up to kill, because we went to Lust first, and Lust was like, yeah, I'm not gonna fight you guys. You guys are pretty chill. I'm gonna give you whatever, blah 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 blah. So like, but she's like, if you guys can kill Pride, that would be pretty cool. Here's how you do it. So we set up this whole elaborate trap to kill Pride, and I think it was War or something, or Wrath. I think it was Wrath that I almost got petrified. It was like a gladiator fight. I was like 1 dice roll away from turning to stone, and we killed him. So my party members were able to prevent me from turning to stone. Just barely. And then we got to like a high enough level. I think it was level 17 or 18, where I took this magic arcanum thing where I can learn a 9th level spell. And because it was a bard, the lore bard, I can learn from any table. And so what I did on one of my other ones, I learned the cantrip Eldritch Blast. And the one that I took at this level was Time Stop. And so this combo that I made up. So we go into this fight with an octopus guy. Oh god, I need to wrap this up. Into like this weird floating octopus guy. It's not like a beholder or anything like that. So I went off first. I'm like, fuck this. Time Stop. And the DM allowed me to do this. I used my Bardic Inspiration dice, which is like a D8, D10. I can't remember what it was or what it was at that level. I used that and it's like, hey, can I use this for extra turns? And he's like, fuck yeah, that's cool and funny. So not only did I get the D4 for what you're supposed to roll in proficiency, I think, but I added that die on top of it. And guess what? I casted so many times. Eldritch Blast. Just boom, 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 boom. And so when time resumed, the like octopus monster that we were fighting instantly vaporized in a cloud of blood. I'm just like, I need to take a nap now. I need a nap now. So the entire time I was like, I just need a nap. I need a nap. That was my 9th level spell. So we get a nap. We get a full restore. We go into the final fight. My first turn. I hit the beat. I see the BBEG. I'm like, all right, I see a full room of guys. And what I should have done So I hit the time stop. Luckily enough, like he was about to counter it, but it didn't make the cut to do it. So I did my time spell Eldritch Blast, and what I should have done was blow up the whole room. There was like dragons and other things and this and that, and there was a certain way that you had to kill the BBEG to make it work. So my dumbass thought, all right, I'm going to focus all of my Eldritch Blast, all of like 30, 40 of them, focus them on the main bad guy. I sent him flying into his chair. Like, boom. Like he was instantly there fast. He was at 1 HP the entire fight. And I should have done that to the entire room of bad guys that he summoned. But I didn't. And then he tried to pull a spell of time stop, but then someone like fireballed or hit the counter spell on him, and he didn't do it. So it's just like, sucks to suck. But we won, and then yeah. Oh crap! I need to wrap this up. So if you want to watch this live, you can go to twitch.tv/MountDelic or search bar. I mean, it's kind of weird now because of the way that I'm mobile, but I would say preferably watch it on a browser. Or it's so freaking weird, the search bar, because like every time I try to search for one of my friends now, I come up with a bunch of ones that aren't it. Like it's some weird like Korean stuff that's like not right, not even close, or just like ones that are just don't have the letters that are in order. Just I don't get it. But that's the point. So you can go to twitch.tv/MountDelic, all one word. You can interact in the chat. You can change how this goes. You can also watch the after show. And you can also watch this, for up to 2 weeks on here. Unedited. And once it's gone, it's gone. But it's also on YouTube, where you can watch every single episode up to this point on there. Edited. But they're all on there. And also on Spotify, you can listen to every single, I think you may be able to watch, but you can listen to every single episode since episode 100 till now. I mean, obviously still edited, but it's, a way to listen without having to, watch it or whatever. But also on Spotify, you can, a good incentive to do is to listen to the radio show retrospective, where I go through every single episode on the 5-year anniversary of it airing. And, you can listen to the music that I was playing. You can also hear my thoughts and things that I remember from that episode, and hear the original audio or edited version of the original audio, because there's a lot of stuff in there. But this past episode was about snow. So something that's not really out there, but yeah. I like to thank Gradients for their use of the song Used to It, off of the album The Call. I think they're getting close to dropping their third single for this next album pretty soon here, maybe within the next week. I don't know. I can't remember when I feel like they're close to releasing their album. They're a little ways away, but they're close. They're close. I mean, they've been close for a while, but I think they need to like finish it up and like actually record the vocals and this and that, master it. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes into it, but they're pretty close. They're pretty close to getting that sucker licked. I'd say before the summer, for sure, before they really go on tour this next year, I think they're going to have the whole album done. I feel they can get it done. For sure. Thank you for listening, watching, and doing what you do, and all that other stuff. But as I look at the time, it's not midnight here anymore. So until it becomes midnight somewhere... But it is midnight somewhere else. So until it becomes midnight here once again, I will see you later. But until then... next week when that happens, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
I'm used to it.